2026 and 2027 are going to be huge for Apple TV. They aren't trying to drop dozens of new shows every week like Netflix does. Instead, they're focusing their budget on fewer projects that feel much bigger, more cinematic, and more prestigious. We're looking at science fiction, psychological thrillers, cyberpunk, and massive world building. Some of these shows honestly look less like TV series and more like $100 million movies. With Dolby Vision and some seriously impressive CGI, Apple is clearly playing a quality war right now. But here's the big question. Is all that money enough to tell a great story, or is it just going to be expensive eye candy? Let's dive in and take a look at the 10 biggest shows coming to Apple TV together. Severance Season 3. Severance is currently one of Apple TV's strongest prestige brands. After impressing both critics and audiences with its first 2 seasons, the series is preparing to expand the dark secrets of Lumon Industries even further with its 3rd season. This show does not offer huge explosions, spaceships, or massive battle scenes in the traditional sense, but with its sterile office corridors, disturbing silence, flawless production design, and psychological tension, it creates a very special world that pulls the viewer in. In the 3rd season, the expectation is that Lumon will be revealed more clearly as not just a company, but a much bigger and more dangerous system. The idea of splitting memory in 2 is already a terrifying science fiction concept on its own, but Severance tells this story not only through technology, but also through human identity, free will, and corporate control. That is why Severance Season 3 stands at the top of the list as one of the most anticipated Apple TV projects of the 2026 and 2027 period. Silo Season 3. Silo is returning with its 3rd season as one of Apple TV's strongest shows on the dystopian science fiction side. In this dark world led by Rebecca Ferguson, people live inside a massive underground structure and cannot fully trust anything about what the outside world is really like. And this is exactly where the strongest part of the series begins. Silo is not just a survival story, but also a major dystopia built around information control, system pressure, and the question of who gets to write the truth. In the 3rd season, the story is expected to move to a much bigger point. Because now the issue is not only who will survive inside the silo, it is also how this system was created, what exists outside, and what people have been made to believe for years. Apple manages to make even a story set in enclosed spaces feel massive and expensive. With metal corridors, dark rooms, mechanical systems, and an ever-growing sense of paranoia, Silo Season 3 will be a return that big-budget science fiction fans should not miss. Foundation Season 4. Foundation is preparing to return with its 4th season as one of Apple TV's biggest and most expensive-feeling science fiction projects. Adapted from Isaac Asimov's massive universe, this story brings together galactic empires, mathematical prophecies, political intrigue, and the future of humanity. Apple is not just telling a science fiction story with this series. It is building a massive universe on television with huge sets, visual effects, space battles, and a cinematic atmosphere. In the 4th season, the expectation is that the galactic war and political chaos will reach a much larger scale. Because Foundation does not only change its characters every season, it tells events that shift the balance of the entire universe. That is why this series is definitely one of the clearest examples of Apple TV's fewer but bigger projects strategy. If you love big-budget space operas and massive universes in the style of Dune and Star Wars, Foundation Season 4 should be very high on your list. Dark Matter Season 2. Dark Matter is preparing to become one of Apple TV's most interesting science fiction returns with its 2nd season. Adapted from Blake Crouch's novel, the series used the idea of parallel universes in its 1st season, not just as a big concept, but through the choices people make in their lives. Jason Dessen being trapped between different realities turned the question, what if I had lived a different life, into something very powerful both as science fiction and emotional drama. In the 2nd season, this parallel universe concept is expected to grow even bigger. Because dark matter is not only built around quantum realities, alternate lives, and scientific possibilities, it also puts family, identity, and regret at the center. Apple is offering a more personal but mind-bending science fiction experience here instead of massive space battles. If you love multiverse stories but do not want them to be limited only to superhero action, Dark Matter Season 2 is definitely a show worth paying attention to. Slow Horses Season 6. Slow Horses continues to be one of Apple TV's strongest brands on the drama side, with its 6th season. Gary Oldman's Jackson Lamb now has a special place among modern spy shows. This series does not show its big budget through spaceships or CGI wars. It gives that premium feeling through its strong writing, sharp dialogue, British spy atmosphere, and character-focused storytelling. In the 6th season, the Slough House team is once again expected to find itself in the middle of complicated political games, intelligence crises, and dirty operations. Slow Horses is no longer just a good spy series. It is one of the most important shows carrying Apple TV's prestige drama identity. Gary Oldman's tired, messy, but incredibly intelligent agent profile separates the show from ordinary spy stories. For those looking for a more realistic but equally high-quality Apple series outside of science fiction, Slow Horses Season 6 will be a very strong option. Neuromancer. Neuromancer is one of Apple TV's most exciting upcoming projects. Adapted from William Gibson's legendary novel, this story is considered one of the cornerstones of the cyberpunk genre. Today, the ideas we see in The Matrix, Blade Runner, Cyberpunk 2077, and many other dark future stories somehow trace back to the influence of Neuromancer. That is why this adaptation is not just a new science fiction series. It means bringing one of the most important works in cyberpunk history to the screen. The most striking part of the series is how it brings together artificial intelligence, hacker culture, megacorporations, digital espionage, cyber consciousness, and a dark future atmosphere. Especially in a time when artificial intelligence is being discussed more and more every day. Seeing a story like Neuromancer come to the screen with Apple TV quality is a huge deal. This series could become one of the most special titles on the list for technology lovers, cyberpunk fans, and people who enjoy hard science fiction. Murderbot Season 2. Murderbot is returning with its second season as one of Apple TV's more entertaining but still powerful science fiction projects. Starring Alexander Skarsgård, the series follows a self-aware security robot and its conflict with humans and its own inner world. At first glance, it may look like an action-heavy science fiction story with dark humor, but at the center of the story are very current themes, like artificial intelligence, free will, and robot consciousness. In the second season, Murderbot's strange bond with humans and its questioning of its own existence are expected to come forward even more. This character is not just a machine. It is an AI figure that wants to escape the system, make its own decisions, and understand humans. That is why Murderbot Season 2 will be one of Apple TV's notable science fiction returns, both with its entertaining pace and with a subject that has become even more meaningful in the age of AI. Star City. Star City is coming to Apple TV as a new space race drama that expands the For All Mankind universe. This time, the story does not focus on the American side, but on the Soviet space program. For All Mankind had already used the alternate history genre very strongly, with the idea of, what if the Soviets had won the moon race? Star City will look at this universe from a different political, cultural, and ideological angle. The most interesting part of the series is that it will tell the space race not only through rockets and astronauts, but also through state pressure, engineering competition, ideological battles, and human sacrifice. We already saw how strong Apple can be with space-themed productions through For All Mankind. By expanding this universe even further, Star City looks like a project that could pull in both history fans and science fiction viewers. Sugar Season 2. Sugar is returning with its second season as one of Apple TV's most stylish shows. This neo-noir detective story starring Colin Farrell began in its first season like a classic missing person investigation, but later moved toward a much different genre twist. With its Los Angeles atmosphere, old Hollywood feeling, lonely detective tone, and dark visual language, Sugar became one of Apple TV's most unique projects. In the second season, the show is expected to expand its noir side even more, and widen the boundaries of the mysterious world it opened in the first season. Sugar does not give its expensive production feeling through huge CGI scenes, but through its visual language, colors, framing, and the charismatic loneliness carried by Colin Farrell. For those who love the combination of science fiction and noir aesthetics, Sugar Season 2 could be one of the most interesting Apple TV returns of 2026. Cape Fear. Cape Fear stands out as one of Apple TV's most notable psychological thriller projects of 2026. Bringing together powerful actors like Javier Bardem, Amy Adams, and Patrick Wilson, the series follows a family that comes under threat when a case from the past is reopened. And with major names like Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg involved on the producing side, this project becomes much more than an ordinary thriller series. Cape Fear is not science fiction on this list, but it is very important in showing how Apple builds prestige thrillers with major actors, major names, and cinematic quality storytelling. The tension Javier Bardem could create in a threatening and dark role is enough to spark curiosity on its own. With Amy Adams and Patrick Wilson also involved, Cape Fear could become one of the strongest psychological thrillers of 2026. As you can see, Apple TV is not acting like just a streaming platform in 2026 and 2027. It is basically moving like a big-budget movie studio. Severance will break our minds, Silo will trap us underground, Foundation will expand the galaxy, Neuromancer will take us to the roots of cyberpunk, and dark matter will make us question our parallel lives. So which show on this list are you looking forward to the most? Make sure to write it in the comments. Because honestly, I already follow and watch most of these shows, but until now, I haven't made too much content about them on the channel. If you also want to see reviews, analyses, detail videos, and new updates about these shows on the channel, you can signal that to me by liking the video. Especially if this video gets good likes and you write in the comments that you want to see these shows, we can give Apple TV much more space on the channel. That's all from me for now. I'll see you in the next video.